Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a great day. And yes, this is Lord Brunson. We are here. We are ready to go.
Let's go.
You're not looking at, this isn't fake. This isn't, a pre-recorded video.
Right. What is it? It's not a hologram.
It's not a hologram. It's not a mirage. So everybody's got to, I reached out to Lord Brunson and to jump on and, kind of go over kind of what the Eagles have done this offseason, kind of go over maybe the draft a little bit. And obviously we have 1 month until training camp. So LB, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Nothing much, man. Excited, you know what I mean, about the direction that the team is going in. I'm excited about the additions to the team. Let's talk about it, man. It's a lot to discuss. We've been seeing some pretty cool videos. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you've seen them. Nolan Smith's work ethic. A lot has been talked about. Jalen Carter and if he's in shape or does he have a high motor? I think a lot of questions are being asked without even putting on the pad so far, man.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot either with certain positions right now and obviously with free agents or maybe trades that the Eagles can make with 4 open roster spots. I want to know, and I appreciate everybody being here. We have 265 people between both chats right now. We're streaming from both channels right now. And I do appreciate everybody jumping in tonight.
Yes, sir.
So last year, I want you to talk about, I'm going to ask you about Jalen Hurts' progression and obviously getting to that Super Bowl, kind of going through that whole thing with the Super Bowl and everything. Just Jalen Hurts in general, like what you thought, how he progressed last year and what do you think is going to happen this year with him?
So, as it pertains to Jalen Hurts from what I saw last year, it's no secret that I personally was expecting, but, I would be lying to you if I said I thought that he was going to go all pro. I thought that he was going to take us to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? I thought to see a better passing performance from Jalen Hurts for sure, just with the additions of A.J. Brown and just A.J. Brown alone. I thought to see, a natural jump when you got that type of firepower on the outside. But then A.J. Brown ends up having a career year. Devontae Smith ends up having a career year. Your offense looks, unstoppable the first 2 quarters of football for a large part of the season, putting teams away early. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. It was, as an Eagles fan, Jalen Hurts made it easy for me. I went to a lot of games last year, and I was chilling by the fourth quarter. You know how many people hugging and embracing. Yeah. So, what I saw from Jalen Hurts was, a franchise guy that's deserving of the money, a guy that's, willing to block out the noise and put his best foot forward just to show you on the field. It's not about him talking so much about what he's going to do. I see a guy that's ready to show. And at the age of 25, I think he is right now. He's kind of locker room, man. You know what I mean? He has, veteran players looking to him for answers like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. These are already Super Bowl champions. Darius Slay. A lot of these guys have accepted him as, that guy in the locker room. His leadership has gotten to the next level. Off the field, he's turning into a superstar. I mean, this is one of the first times. This is the first time since when McNabb had that chunky soup commercial. You know what I mean? This is the first time since around those times when we had a guy at the most important position be this noticeably, respected in the National Football League. Now, what I expect next year is I honestly expect him to take another jump. You know what I mean? I think the throw mechanics look even better than what they were going into last year, which I thought was impressive. The way he slows down the game, comfortability, being in the same system for 3 years, so to speak. Brian Johnson not going to change too much. We hired in-house. I'm looking for Jalen Hurts to, have another all-pro-ish type season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think even going into last season, even like in the offseason last year, I mean, I was saying, like, if he could play at least 20% better than he did the year. I mean, really, all I want to do is give Jalen Hurts a chance last year, and really, he just. I mean, I think they aggressively built around him. I mean, if you compare Carson Wentz to Jalen Hurts, I think they built around. Hurts so much better. I think they've been more aggressive around him, and I think they trust him, and obviously getting guys that. Obviously, getting Devontae Smith and getting guys that either he's played with or he's associated with. I think that's been a big help in his game, and obviously trusting his receivers and everybody really trusting him. It's been one of the most important things. I'll be honest, I didn't expect him to have the year that he had last year. I mean, I said 20% better, and he played 95% better. And that's a huge jump. And obviously, it comes to the coaching and everything else. But I think it comes down to Jalen Hurts' work ethic, going forward. So. I think that's
I agree. And, in terms of Carson Wentz, though, I think it was coming for Carson. You know what I mean? I think Carson just had to show him a little more leadership rather sooner than later. You know what I mean? If Carson Wentz could have passed the mental test of Jalen Hurts being drafted, not affecting him so much, I think the weapons were coming for Carson Wentz because Howie Roseman was still there. He was slowly putting pieces together, and I think when he had the Carson Wentz departed and we took that big cap hit on, I think that's when Howie Roseman went to a new level in terms of wanting to show people that still build this roster. So I'm
trying to figure out too, like, even during that time, like, I feel like when you draft a quarterback in the second round, which I wasn't not a fan of the player, it wasn't the player, it was just like, you're already paying a quarterback and you're going to invest in a second round pick that should be on the field already. So I mean, a lot of people weren't happy with it, but I mean, sometimes these things happen. Do we, is there something going on behind? Was there something going on behind the scenes? Did they, maybe there's something going on with Carson at that time, and they just knew something was going to happen. Carson got beat out physically and mentally. I mean, mostly mentally, and Carson's been gifted two other really pretty good offenses with the Colts and with Washington. I mean, he was gifted two pretty good offenses on a silver platter, not having to beat anybody out for a job or nothing like that, and completely failed. And Hurts just, the outside noise is just irrelevant to him. Even the Marcus Hayes stuff from the other day. I saw your tweet the other day.
Yeah,
they're kind of with the insecurities, and I mean, I don't know why he has to kind of put it in that. I don't know why he can't. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like.
But this is the thing with that, though. Like, and in some weird way, I understand where he was going with it. You know what I mean? I think the say was Jalen Hurts just he works so hard to mask the things that he's not elite at. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that's everybody, though. That's everybody. Think about it. Tom Brady works so hard at being elite from the pocket because he ain't athletic. You know what I mean? Right. He's basically a sitting duck with elite game from the pocket. Drew, the same way. Everybody does these things. Everybody works extremely hard, you know what I mean, and try to be the best that they can at certain things. So, it can outweigh the other things. So I don't know why it has to be negative when it comes to Jalen Hurts. And then when you're talking about the most insecure athlete in Philly, how could you not say Joel Embiid anyway? But that's another topic for, something else.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like even with that, I mean, everybody has like, something they want to work on. I mean, insecurities just makes it, I guess that word just makes it seem
right.
And that's how he kind of,
because you associate insecurities with failure. Like if I say I'm insecure about something, you know what I mean? It must be something that I'm afraid to fail at. I just didn't see Jalen Hurts really fail at anything last year. So insecurity is just totally the wrong word.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. We got King Vlad with the super chat says, I stopped watching a movie for this. Oh, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks. Let me know what you was watching. I need a good movie tonight.
I just saw The Flash last night. It was really good. So
yeah, I went on like a full movie weekend thing. You know what I mean? I didn't have my daughters with me last weekend, so I saw Transformers. I saw The Flash. If it was out and it was new, I was seeing it. That was the type of weekend I was having. I like The Flash though.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I don't think it's doing good in the box office, but I thought it was pretty good. So even going into this the off season. I mean, you had like 11 to 12 free agents on defense. You only had really two pieces from your offense really going between Samalo and Miles Sanders. Going into the draft, okay, who was your guy in the draft before really anything that happened? Like, who was your guy?
My guy the whole time was Jalen Carter. You know, that was my guy the whole, mainly because I just know how Howie Roseman operates. You know what I mean? Like I just know the mindset of how he rose, and it's always going to be the trenches. And it was just way too many good defensive linemen on the board. It was good offensive linemen on the board as well. That high in the draft with 2 first-round picks, and you lost Hargrave. I just knew it was going to be a defensive tackle. You know what I mean? I was more of Mozzie Smith, to be honest. I thought Carter was out of the question for us, but my guy the whole time was Jalen Carter. I was warming up to Bijan though.
I was on the B. I think me and Philly were on the Bijan train
the
whole entire time. And I even though I didn't think it was going to happen, I felt like if Carter was drafted before time, I figured that I think they would have took a chance there. I think they would have took a chance on him, but it didn't happen. It is what it is. But Carter was second on my board anyway. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Will Anderson was up there, and there was no way they were going to move up to 3. I mean, what the Texans gave up was just crazy. So hopefully he pans out. But no, Carter, I wasn't really against drafting Carter at all. I mean, he wasn't seeing teams out of the top 10, and so you knew he was going somewhere. I think once he passed Seattle, I think Seattle was very realistic. He passed Seattle, I think, at 5, or I think it was 5 or 6. And I felt like, it was very realistic. And then you had to worry about the Bears. So, I mean, we actually sat in a pretty comfortable spot. They moved up. They gave up a small pick. So, I mean, even when he was drafted and how emotional he was, I felt like that moment really changed. I mean, obviously, when you get drafted, it changes your life. But I think being drafted to this team was a huge difference maker. Obviously with his teammates and Jordan Davis being that mentor, when they were at Georgia together. So were you worried about anything when it came to the outside noise of what was going on, or, his pro day that, seemed like he was, cramping, he was slowing up a little bit. He would gain 9-10 pounds. So if Carter was your guy, like what about the outside noise and all that you kind of,
the outside really didn't affect me. The legal troubles are the legal troubles. I don't really know the ramifications of all of that stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's getting sorted out. But as far as him and his pro day and people saying he didn't look good at his pro day, I mean, having legal troubles will do that to you. You know what I mean? I like myself for remembering, especially talking to a lot of these guys personally over the last couple of seasons, they regular humans. So if anybody's going through anything, it can throw off, how they go about doing their daily activities like training and trying to get ready for a pro day. So outside noise didn't affect me though, man. But I just ultimately felt like if he wanted to get to where we know he could be, the Philadelphia Eagles will get him there the fastest. Just our style of play. Then you're bringing him around guys like Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Nakobe Dean. You're building that familiarity. Then you draft Nolan Smith a couple minutes after that. You know what I mean? So you're doing a lot for him without pretty much being at the forefront. What you're doing, just unintentionally making it easier for him. And I think it's just a perfect fit.
Yeah, I think realistically, even with our defense in general, I think the biggest loss we really had out of free agency was really Hargrave. I think Hargrave was like the biggest loss. I mean, you need Jordan Davis to take that that big step this year. I mean, obviously got hurt. They signed Linval, they signed Ndamukong Suh, and then now it's even drafting Carter now I feel like he can have a big season this year. I feel like he's not one of those guys you're gonna have to wait like a year. Usually with these first round picks, I kind of wait after a year. Like I don't put too much pressure on them, but I feel like there's extra motivation, there's extra excitement. Playing next to Jordan Davis, playing, Nolan Smith being the building. Nolan Smith, comfortably we ended up getting him, and the different things that Sean Desai could do with him is going to be, that's why the linebacker core is going to be interesting too, because I want to see what they do with Nolan Smith and how much they put him in coverage, or maybe they put him as an outside linebacker. What packages do they have for him? So what did you think of Nolan Smith being drafted?
I was against that one, man, to be honest. Yeah. I was totally against that one because I felt like he was too small. And that's due in large part to me being ignorant of a lot of college football, if you want me to be honest. I really pay attention to so much of it when it's time for the draft and when it's time to start looking at these prospects. When we drafted him, I looked into it. I still was like, all right, he's really good off the edge. You know what I mean? He, especially if he's on the boundary side, he covers so much ground. The dude of nature. Then I start seeing more videos on him. I start seeing his stature. There's a difference between being light and being small in stature. Like Smitty is small in stature, but he's stronger than what you think. Nolan Smith is kind of light, but he's massive in stature. So I think his game is going to translate well to the next level. I think it's a 75% chance that he ends up being the best rookie the Philadelphia Eagles drafted on the defensive side of the ball since Brian Dawkins. I think his potential is that high.
Yeah, it could be. And like you said earlier, like he hasn't taken like the off season, he hasn't taken a day off. Like he went to Von Miller's camp, and then now he's working out with other guys now. So he's been working his tail off this off season. The way, and it's interesting enough, like he's got so much good athleticism. Like he's small, but he's he's got really good technique. Like he's
right.
And I think that's that's one of the biggest things too. So even with Nolan Smith now, like I'm excited to see how they use him, and I loved how they used him in Georgia. Like they lined him up like they had like a wide 9 on him, so like he would really go one-on-one with that tackle, kind of pick his poison, So I loved how they kind of used him for those matchups, and I'm excited for it. I don't know what we're gonna get the first year, but I'm pretty pumped. I mean, the player that he was compared to, he's playing with Hassan Reddick, the guys that he's learning from. So, I mean, it's a good time for Philadelphia right now. It's a good time for this defense right now.
It really is. One thing that I think we got to change though as an organization is sometimes unleashing some of these guys. Man, Nakobe Dean should have played much more last year. And I feel like if Nakobe Dean, listen, we lost both the guys that were playing in front of him. That was coming. You know what I mean? We should have sprinkled some more Nakobe Dean in there, man, because I feel like if Nakobe Dean would have more experience, it wouldn't have, it's still going to be a small learning curve. We got to remember that. Maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 4 weeks. I don't see it lasting the whole season where he's just trash, but it's going to like learning curve, and we could have eliminated some of that. But that's why I think you got to throw Nolan in there, bro. I think Nolan need to have just as many snaps as Brandon Graham off the edge.
No, I totally agree.
I think he need to have just as many snaps. You know what I mean? We definitely want him to be one of them ones. My guy Mike, what up?
What's going on, Mike? Philly Talk Podcast is
definitely high on Nolan Smith. He was telling me,
dude. The one thing I was, because every reporter even on TV, like everybody was saying it's either going to be Nolan Smith or Jalen Carter at 10. I didn't want to draft Nolan Smith at 10. I thought he was like early 20s. I thought he was. I just thought it was too soon, because I figured I didn't know what the Eagles were going to do, like for other, if they weren't going to get a trench guy, if they were going to get somebody. I didn't know if they were. I didn't know what they were going to do. So, I was glad I was really glad they picked him up. I mean, I didn't expect 2 defensive linemen to get picked in the first round. I mean,
let me ask you a question. I know you were high on the Bijan train. So would you rather have had Bijan Nolan Smith or Carter Nolan Smith? That's tough, man. I knew it was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough with you.
Because I understand, like with this offensive line you have right now, I mean, you can't just plug in anybody. You can't plug in a crappy running back and put him behind this offensive line. But I mean, you have someone like top tier like that to get pressure off you. But to be honest with you, like even on the third day, which usually the third day of the draft is really boring, and like it's 5 hours, and you're sitting there and you're just going to go through the motions of some of these picks and just see what they get out of it. But after really going towards trading for, DeAndre Swift, for a 25 fourth rounder, which is like 25 fourth rounder, which is free, because really the biggest surprise of this draft was 2 running backs going top 15. I mean, these Jahmyr Gibbs was a big surprise for me, at least. I didn't think that was going to happen at all. So that was a big switch up in the draft as well. But I said they needed a running back. I said if they don't go after Bijan, they go after somebody else. I didn't think Dalvin Cook was really going to be, because of his money and everything like that. They don't want to put too much money to that position, so they go after Rashad Penny. They trade for DeAndre Swift. I didn't think they were going to pay Miles Sanders $6 million a year. They could have afforded it, but I think those 2 guys at 100% health are better than him, and I feel like. Yeah. I feel like they could be. I'm actually to see what Brian, Brian Johnson, how he's going to use both of those guys. I don't know, but Swift. There's a big difference, man, and that RPO read option, how that's going to look. It's really exciting, man.
I agree. So when you put it like that, when you look at everything we did in its totality, I guess you came out better because you got Carter, Smith, and you got Penny and Swift at the same time. But if you compare any one of those generational-esque type of guys with Nolan Smith in the draft, I think you won regardless. If you get Bijan and Nolan, I ain't mad. You know what I mean? Because it's just like Nolan Smith, I just feel like is the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? You didn't really put him at 10, You know what I mean? But he could be as good as any one of those guys in the top 10. You know what I mean? And you pick somebody. Go ahead, my bad.
Oh, well, I'm just saying. I said to myself, well, why, just add more firepower to your offense? Like, what's stop it? You know what I mean? And, instead of putting 35, you can put 35 plus points, maybe even 40 plus points on the board with Bijan in your offense. Even though, I don't mind what we did as long as they did something there. I was perfectly fine with it. I mean, obviously, it's a big what if with Swift, because he's got to stay healthy. He only missed 3 games last year, and Penny, Penny's a little bit of a mess right now. He only played 5 games last year, but hopefully, at least he didn't get hurt later on in the season or whatnot. Right. So he's had enough time to kind of recoup himself a little bit. But, and I'm a big fan of Kenneth Gainwell. I think he gets better every single year, but his contract is dwindling down right now. They just don't want to put money into that position. With the offensive line you have, you're not, you lose Isaac Samalo, and like that's really it. And I think that's pretty easy to replace right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it does make sense to put money into that position with the offensive line that you got. Like what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing is getting people paid. You know what I mean? DeAndre Swift probably going to have a good year behind this line and go somewhere and get paid. Same thing what happened with Miles Sanders. Like this offensive line is just so dominant. It doesn't matter who's back there. So I'm cool with it regardless. But, the chance to add a Bijan, which you would have got a 5th-year option out of, you know what I mean? It's, I'm going to think about it for a while. I'll get over it though.
I mean, even when he went to Atlanta, I was kind of confused. Like, Atlanta's like, they got an offensive lineman, whatever, but even drafting him at 8, it just didn't make sense to me. And
right.
Like, I don't think they know that they have a quarterback yet. And you don't draft a running back top 10 if you don't have a quarterback. I mean, with what's his face, but
right.
I keep forgetting his name. But yeah. We have Kenny with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. It says Hayes' insecure statement made 0 sense. Jalen has been confident all season long. Does he have things to work on? Sure, but who don't? Number 1 is perfect. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Everybody, nobody's perfect, man. That's how it is. Yo, Joe, what's going on, man?
Joe, what up?
Joe, the super chat says, "Oh, the round table is going to be lit this year." love to get in on those, no doubt. We got a super chat from Burgang 31. What's going on, man? It says 2 goats in the building. Hurts best in the NFL. All right. Appreciate it so much, Burgang. Yeah, so I mean the first round was it just fell into our lap pretty much. We didn't really have to do too much, didn't have to move up or do too much. But going into the even the second round, getting Sidney Brown and getting tylersteen, I think 2 really good premier picks with value that the Eagles really did get. Because I think that shored up, that safety position is going to be really interesting. What did you think about Chauncey, him leaving, that whole situation, and their plan B I think the Terrell Edmonds signing was a plan B, but the thing I can't stand is giving up picks for players, and I think the plan was to sign Chauncey to a long-term extension, but it was a real snake contract, though. It was like a backloaded, like here's $3 million this year. Here's $3 million next year. And here's like 20-something million the last year that he probably was never going to see anyway. So I don't know what you thought about that whole thing.
I mean, if that's the true track, it was terrible. I mean, I would have felt disrespected if I was him as well. But he has to understand that the safety position is turning into the running back position. Nobody really wants to pay safeties right now, and just to even have a contract would have been, I wouldn't want to say it would have been a blessing, but it would have been, you really got to be at the top of your game to get paid that safety money, how they were getting paid 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, man, the contract was terrible, man. That was like when Howie do something like that, because usually if Howie wants you, he's going to give you something that you can fuse damn near. You know what I mean? When Howie does something like that, he still got some questions, but he know you're worth keeping. So yeah, he got out of that. He got out of there. I would have loved to keep him though, but Sidney Brown, I think Sidney Brown got some things to work on. I was looking at his film not too long ago. Tackling would be one of my biggest concerns for Sidney Brown. He missed a lot of tackles in college, but he's a good ball hawk though. Edmonds, I think Edmonds is a good, like a good big nickel safety. We can use him in run support, things of that nature. But I'm putting all the chips on my guy Reed Blankenship. Putting all the chips on Reed Blankenship. I think Reed Blankenship is going to end up emerging as the safety for the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. I love what I saw out of Reed Blankenship when Gardner Johnson went down. And I got really high hopes for Reed Blankenship. I think it's like his position to lose for real. And I think we're going to see like a star emerge if he is a day one starter.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with his sample size. I mean, he played really well. I mean, his coverage was a little, at times, but his tackling is A plus. I mean, I think he's a contact safety. He loves to hit. I mean, I think he had for a sample size. It's really going to be now like going into camp and just see what he could do. So I mean, they added a lot of bodies. I mean, some bodies we know that probably aren't going to make it. Like they had Justin Evans, that's just a vet that's been hurt every year.
Mm-hmm.
Kevon Wallace, we've already given up on at this point. So I mean, or if they don't think it's good enough, maybe they go for a trade. Maybe they go out and get Budda Baker. I don't know. I think that's a big dream, but I can't say no, it can happen because it can. It can happen at the end of the day. So,
right. Anything is definitely possible with Howie Roseman, but I think what makes us attractive to a player like Budda Baker is Budda Baker really, really wants to win. You know what I mean? Like, really, I saw like him crying to the locker room, like, yo, do your job. Like, I'm tired of losing. You know what I mean? And like, he really wants to win. And if you really, really, really want to win, you definitely should be joining the Philadelphia Eagles right now because they're doing everything to win. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people confuse, winning it all. That's always the ultimate goal, winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
But if your franchise isn't doing things to make you a competitive organization, then that's when fans stops coming to games. Fans, tailgates slow down. One thing I can say about the Philadelphia Eagles, they are always trying to win the Super Bowl. We're not looking to be tanking. We're not looking to rebuild. We always trying under Howie Roseman, and that's attractive to superstars. And Jalen Hurts, just made himself more marketable as well. So a lot of people want to come play for us. I think we could get Budda if we come down a little. I think he'll meet us in the middle for the sake of winning.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to leave the Cardinals at this point. So
that's true.
We already know what's going on over there. Anyway, with all that, and obviously the new news with the not allegations, but the tampering stuff with Gannon, and I guess there's more news to it now, or whatever went on. I mean, glad when we lost, we left him in Arizona, and we left, and that was it. That was it. So. Oh yeah, Mike says, thank you for the super chat. He says, early record prediction from y'all. What do you think record prediction?
They said I was crazy last year. I wonder if they're going to do it again. Last year I said like 13. I think we're going to win like 12. I think we win at least 12. You know what I mean? So what have us at 12-5?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we win 12 games this year.
Yeah. I said 13 last year, and I said 14 if they really 14 or more if they really surprise me, but I think they win 13 this year, so we're pretty close. I mean, I can't even. I see. The thing is, I don't like doing schedule predictions because so much stuff happens within a season. I mean, it's just for the fun of it, but it's a tougher schedule this year. I think we know that. So I mean, we're gonna have a lot on our plate this year, and I think they can handle it. I think they'll be good to go. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to stay healthy all year. Anything transpires the way it is, I think we'll be good. We got Tyrell Young with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. It's an excited first time to see the Birds play in person in LA this season. About to be lit. I
agree. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to be at that.
Definitely. Yeah, offensive line wise is going to be interesting too, because now, I mean, I think throughout OTAs now, this is without full pads and all that stuff that's going on right now. Is Tylersteen was obviously the blind side left tackle for Bryce Young. Sorry, I keep forgetting his name. Now I saw it. Now I don't know what you think about the offensive line to replace them all. Do you think Cam Jurgens wins the right guard job? Or do you think there's going to be a legit competition with Tylersteen for that right guard spot?
So this is my thing with the offensive line and these available spots and these players who seem to be next up for these available spots. I'm terrified of moving Cam Jurgens to right guard. Terrified of it because what if he ends up being so good that we end up needing a new center? You know what I mean?
Situation, yeah.
Exactly. Landon Dickerson. I think that's the position he played the least in college, left guard, and now he's a bona fide left guard in Stoutland University. So I'm afraid of him being so good. Tylersteen can do it, but it's like do we want to keep shelving Cam Jurgens at the same time? Because Kelsey can keep coming back however many years he wants. He's going to keep getting 14 million. He's going to keep getting paid if he keeps coming back. You know what I mean? I think Kelsey is like in his prime now. I'll give it to Jurgens. I would give it to Cam Jurgens because Cam Jurgens has shown me in a small sample size and looking at some of them in college, the ability to get to the second level and just be a force. When you got guys like Cam Jurgens getting to the second level, along with Kelsey, along with Landon Dickerson, all of it happening at the same time with a guy like Swift and Jacobs back there, you could get some of the plays of the season. So I'll give it to Cam Jurgens. Man, I was against it at first, but after thinking about it, like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. Cam Jurgens is more talented. Let's put as much talent on the field as possible.
Well, last year, if you remember last offseason during, I think it was training camp, last year, this is like before Kelsey got the orthoscopic surgery in his elbow. Like, he was supposed to play right guard next to him last year. He was supposed to
really?
work. He was supposed to get work in at right guard last year. And then when Kelsey was out, and wasn't going to come back for the first game of the season, that's when Jurgens went to center. And I mean, Kelsey don't lie. Obviously you're not going to throw players under the bus, but I feel like I don't know what's going to happen with him. You know what I mean? Kelsey, I think Kelsey only came back. I mean, really, they lost the Super Bowl. So I feel like if they won that Super Bowl, I think he would have retired. I have a good feeling. And I think, obviously he stayed because this offense is still intact right now. I mean, you didn't lose much. What did you lose out of this offense? You lost a right guard and you lost a starting running back. Other than that, I think two are very replaceable. I'm not really worried about it. And really anything that Jeff Stoutland does, I really don't complain about it too much. If you could turn a rugby player into a future Pro Bowl player, I mean, it's just, I think he could just do almost anything. Howie Roseman doesn't even look at offensive line. I mean, literally, it's Jeff Stoutland takes care of that and gives all the information to Howie at the end of the day when it comes to the draft. So Tylersteen's very interesting too, because not only can play left tackle, right tackle, but can play, has the physicality to play right guard as well. So, I mean, I think they're going to cross train a few guys here and there. I really don't know who else they have. They got Trevor Reed, that's an undrafted free agent that from Louisville. That's actually not that bad. I mean, like 328 pass block attempts. He's only given up like 3 sacks in college. So really, it's really not that bad at all. So, I mean, they'll bring in more bodies once training camp gets here. But, yeah, I think offensive line is perfectly fine. Obviously, if Lane Johnson's only here for a couple more years, and he's another guy that really needs to stay healthy between, constant, 2 ankle injuries in 2 seasons. And then he played better on the torn abductor, obviously. So, I mean, he shut down on that injury. I mean, he did a great job. I felt like it didn't really affect him too much. So offensive line wise, I think we're good. And I was glad that Kelsey did come back, which was big. So.
Yeah, I think the offensive line is just. I think we have a bunch of good problems. You got a bunch of a bunch of guys that's able to get trained. You have, probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the game. So yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. And then you like. I want to give the correct answer. What do I think about the offensive line? I trust Stoutland. That's basically what it boils down to. You know what I mean? That's my answer. I trust Stoutland. He drafted Steen. I like what I see out of Steen on tape, but Stoutland must have loved it. He drafted him. You know what I mean? So, I trust what Stoutland is going to do. But if I had my guess, Cam is going to start in that right guard spot.
Yeah, the Dillard situation was a weird one when they drafted him because it was like a heavy defensive draft, and then they just took him. I think it was like 21, 22, whatever. And then they redshirted him like as a first round pick. You redshirt. That's when Jason Peters was here, and then they kept playing him, and kind of blew his confidence out of the water. They started him at that right tackle spot for like 3 games, and blew his confidence out when Lane Johnson ended up getting hurt. So I mean, I feel like they've hit really well on offensive line. So I feel really good about it. We got 579 in the chat right now between both chats. Appreciate it so much, guys. You guys have it. Definitely subscribe to both of our channels, like both streams if you guys can. Do appreciate it very much.
Yes,
and
sir.
Appreciate you, LB, for definitely coming in today. No doubt.
Of course.
Let's go to Quez Watkins. Why not? Everyone's talking crap about him most of the time. So they call him Quez Dropkins now. Quez Dropkins. Do you agree with that?
I'm up and down with that one, man. I'm 50-50 because, I was one of the guys that, like when me and Philly Firehound were doing a draft board, Quez Watkins was on my draft board. You know what I mean? I saw it. You know what I mean? I think he was like the first player we drafted that I ever did a video on saying why we should draft him. and he was great his rookie year. You know what I mean? And he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all his rookie year. He was looking like a solid number 2. I think it was a down year. That's all, man. It was just a down year from Quez, and Quez has had malfunctions in big moments, like when you've been training against Washington in a scrappy game. You're 9-0. Quez has the catch, the fumble, and that was on like a game-winning drive damn near when that happened with Quez Watkins. In the Super Bowl, he like jumps in the air like a dolphin out of the water. You know what I mean? And some weird way doesn't even get a finger on the ball. Some people quote unquote think he kind of hung Minshew out to dry with the one interception in Dallas because he didn't fight for the ball or come back for the ball. But Quez Watkins got to show up, man, because what's his name? Olamide. Am I saying that right? He is.
I say it wrong. I get corrected in the comment section every day. Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yeah, Zaccheaus. He is absolutely capable of taking Quez Watkins' job. Absolutely capable, just off of his yards after catch ability alone. And he also can stretch the field to a degree. He's physical. He's better blocking down the field, which is what we really like. I mean, for our RPO sake and things like that. So Quez got to keep his foot on the gas. He absolutely has to keep his foot on the gas because guys like Olamide Zaccheaus, they're coming. They're coming for that position. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a dogfight to the end in camp between those two guys for that third spot.
Yeah, plus Zaccheaus is a pure slot as well.
Right.
He's a pure slot guy, which, and he had his best season last year over 500 yards, 2 touchdowns in a really crappy Falcons offense. So he played really well. I think they can end up using both of these guys maybe, but
yeah,
there was always these trade rumors for Quez. And what I really didn't get last year was that, beginning of the season, it was good. He was great. And then the fumble with the Colts, with the fumble at the Washington game. And then I think it was after that Pittsburgh game, he had that, we didn't find out to the end of the year because I didn't hear this during the year last year. They had a grade 2 shoulder sprain.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, so when we played the Super Bowl, obviously we were in the Super Bowl, and obviously he dropped, one of the biggest catches he would have had, right through his hands. He's not playing consistent games, and you throw him into one of the most important moments of that game, that's what I didn't agree with in that game, was giving him that big moment where he's not playing consistently every week. I mean, it was to a point where they were giving Zach Pascal more shots, and even when Dallas got hurt, they were throwing the ball to Calcaterra and Jack Stahl most of the time. So I don't know if they phased him out because he wasn't playing up to par, or they phased him out because of this injury, or maybe both. And then at the end of the year, they kind of just, they gave him a gift that he just couldn't unwrap.
But when you look at Quez Watkins' role on this team, he really got one job. It's to run these deep routes in the manner that makes Jalen Hurts make a decision. Either you're going to play Quez or you're going to bite to AJ and Smitty, who have been killing you all game. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts has got so good at reading the defense. Once they bite to AJ and Smitty on some of these under routes and some of these posts of that nature, that's when he goes to Quez. So I kind of feel like that was Quez's moment right there. That was the moment. You know what I mean? You got to make that catch. The ball was right there. You got to make that catch. And the way that Jalen Hurts was on point, you know what I mean? Anybody could have been inserted. If you run your route correctly, you're getting the ball. And I just feel like Quez, nobody else could have got open on that route. You know what I mean? Probably Smitty, but you want Smitty to stay on the outside. AJ could have, yeah. But Quez, I mean, I just think you got to catch that one, man. That's your job. Your job is to catch these bombs. You are talked about as being the fastest person on one of the explosive offenses in the league.
Yeah, and sometimes being, wide receiver 3 is a good position, and sometimes it's a real crappy position because, you have to be one of those guys that has to be ready 100% of the time because you don't know when the ball is going to be coming to you. At times, if Jalen Hurts goes through his progressions and there were certain times where Quez wasn't ready for the catch. Is it Jalen Hurts being inaccurate, or was it Quez not being aggressive to the football? And I think it was Quez not being aggressive to the football in certain situations where he had separation, where Jalen Hurts would extend the plays and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's packed on some muscle. He's working his butt off this offseason. I mean, I know, there's some people out there that know his trainer that mentions them clips of, what he's been doing this whole offseason. So, it's really going to be between Quez and Zacchaeus because it makes me nervous a little bit because you want to make sure your two number one wide receivers are literally going to stay healthy this year. And if they're not, who's going to replace that? Because I mean, you're gonna look at undrafted free agents and Joseph Nagata or Charleston Rambo that's played with Jalen Hurts or Hayden Jaden Hazelwood that played with Jalen Hurts, like a bunch of they're just bringing in guys that have played with Jalen Hurts. It's just kind of insane. So you got Britton Covey and Devin Allen and all of them, which it's
I don't know if we were going to get to this during this show, but I think wide receiver is one of our weaknesses, believe it or not.
Why do you say that? Because of depth, or are you talking?
Yeah, it's depth. Like, we got to remember that AJ and Smitty didn't get hurt at all last year. You know what I mean? And a lot of people were expecting AJ to miss some games because I think he has in the past. It's not that much, but a lot of people like to say, well, he's going to miss a few games. That's one of the knocks on AJ Brown. But think about it. We've never seen the Eagles operate in a manner to where both of those guys weren't on the field. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
So, I really thought about, with those 4 open spots left, I guess we're going to talk about that. I really thought about addressing wide receiver spots if you could. You know what I mean? Like a nice, solid vet. Like, you don't have to go give me a guy that I could think of. Like, I would have liked to Adam Thielen, you know what I mean? But he's on a different roster. Just like a guy like that, like an Adam Thielen, like a short-handed guy.
Julio Jones, maybe. No,
right. I would have loved the Julio Jones. You know what I mean? Play Brown. He's not really looking to be the man. He's looking to contribute. Because when you think about the wide receiver position, you're only as good as your third best wide receiver. Look at the best, the best guys in the league. The best teams in the league passing wise. The Bengals, they have a strong 3. Washington is coming along. Their guys are looking stronger and stronger each game. The Dallas Cowboys added some depth. I wouldn't say that they have a 3 yet, but the Bills had a 3 for a while with Gabriel Davis and things like that. And then what comes to kind of bite us, in the ass, so to speak, in the Super Bowl was R3 not taking advantage of his opportunity. You know what I mean? So imagine if that was a Julio right there. That's a catch.
Well, dude,
look at that's a catch.
What were the two? What were in that Super Bowl offensively? What were the 2 positions that produced the least?
I would have to go with probably running back.
Yeah,
and the wide receivers cooked, but so you really see wide receiver. They did their job.
Yeah, what did the running backs do? They did. I mean,
they didn't do it. Nothing. They put Jalen Hurts in a position to step up to the plate and say, well, this is about to be a firefight.
Yeah, what did Miles Sanders can complain all he wants about not getting more opportunity, but what did he do in 7 carries? Well, he had 7 carries for.
Did he fumble on his first touch?
I mean, I don't think it was the fumble. No, the dump off pass where he just.
I don't know. I thought he fumbled in the first possession or the first touch, the first series, something like that. But regardless, he didn't do enough to stay on the field. You know what I mean? And that's why Kenneth Gainwell and other running backs had to step up. But the running game for sure. Jalen Hurts was more effective on the screen. I mean, on the option routes than the running backs were with the ball in. So yeah, running back.
And what's interesting now, even with these running backs now, like even with what I feel like even Steichen has done a lot. It did a good job for this offense. I couldn't really complain about a few things. Maybe there was didn't run the ball at Miles Sanders enough in the first half of some games. They didn't. They barely gave him the rock. I mean, obviously this is a pass first offense. The offense goes through Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert. That's who it goes through. Now with Brian Johnson, and then the last time he was an offensive coordinator was in Florida, and he really liked getting running backs involved in the passing game. And I feel like you have the guys that you can get in this passing game. With Swift is he can cut on a dime, get speed up to 100%. Penny could be your finisher. He could run through the tackles so well. And both of these guys have given us problems when they're healthy over the years. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Even the first game, against the Lions. I mean, Swift had some good runs last year, but I feel like getting these, Miles Sanders was different for me because I felt like Doug really utilized him right. Especially his rookie year. I loved how they used him as a dual threat running back. They had him in the passing game a lot. And then the next 2 years were either injuries, drops, fumbles. And then Nick I don't know. He just likes Gainwell a lot more in those situations. I mean, even for red zone, they use Gainwell a lot more. Even though Miles had over 1,000 yards this year, I felt like Gainwell was more favored at certain moments, or I would say more trusted in some aspects. But
yeah, and I agree with that. And in terms of Super Bowl, if your running back can't catch, what good is he on the field in the firefight?
right.
And that was a firefight. You're a liability unless you're blocking. I'd rather have you out there running routes. You know what I mean? So the Miles Sanders thing, I knew he wasn't going to get paid,
Right.
but I was chomping at the bit. Since we're talking about running backs, I was really peeking at Derrick Henry, man. I would have did it. I was really peeking at the Derrick Henry thing.
Yeah, no, I mean after that, the tweet came out from what's his face from Ninja Warrior. I forgot his name. That tweet came out, and oh yeah, I mean, there could have been a phone call. Who knows? I mean, I think they were calling around the league maybe to see what they would. I mean, Madison from the Vikings. I think the Eagles were really trying to go after him the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he's staying there now. So. They did their homework and stuff, but there's two positions they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay anybody at linebacker, and they don't want to pay anybody at running back. You're getting Rashad Penny for $600,000 for the year. It's peanuts, pennies at this point. And
but Brian Johnson, I think that's one thing the offense was missing, getting the running backs involved in the passing game. When you look at a lot of these busted plays or a lot of some of the best Jalen Hurts throws, they were due to like a lot of free rushers running at him. We were horrible at having out routes and outlets and checkdowns for Jalen Hurts from guys that could really actually when the ball is in their hand. So I think Brian Johnson that's going to take this offense to the next level.
No, I totally agree. We got super chat from R. Grave. Thank you so much, man. He says, if we can keep AJ or Smitty in 2 years, who you keeping?
If we could keep AJ or Smitty in 2 years, bro, I don't even want to do that, bro. I don't even want to do that. You got to think about it, bro. They both like 25 and under.
Yeah.
After what Smitty like 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, Smitty's 23, AJ's 25. I mean, they both gonna be here in 2 years. So you got to ask me that when it's getting close to somebody to depart.
I mean, if it's up to me, I'm keeping. I mean, it's tough, but I got to keep Devontae Smith. He was drafted here, man. You got to keep the homegrown talent in Philadelphia.
Yeah, because Smitty will have the 5th-year option.
Right.
But AJ is like T.O. reincarnated. I don't know. It's tough. That's tough.
AJ staying here is going to depend on Jalen Hurts. Like that conversation is going to go on. Like AJ Brown's got a big contract right now. So when that contract's up, who knows if he comes back for a little bit less of a who knows? But if he's playing like this, it's going to be really tough. Breaking Mike Quick's receiving record, and I mean, just what he did, just his first year here is just insane. I mean,
I feel like he's easily for another 1,200 yards, easily.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Devontae Smith hasn't even. I don't even think he's reached his peak yet. I mean, I don't even think he's there yet, to be honest. Because really, think about it, like the beginning of the season last year, like they used him on the out route slants, like they used him on the little things, like they didn't really attack with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown at the same time. I think once Dallas Goedert got hurt, they really started utilizing Devontae Smith a lot more and a lot better. I don't think he's reached his peak yet, man. Devontae Smith is just on another level, dude. He's not even there yet. I mean, he just needs more opportunity. I think at the end of this year, I think he'll have more yards than AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown will have more catches. I think Devontae Smith will have more yards. I think there's going to be a different year for Devontae Smith this year.
So you think Devontae Smith is a bona fide top 10?
Yeah, I mean, you
really can't argue with it, especially the fact that he's in the top 10 in multiple categories. Like he's in the top 10 in yards. He's in the top 10 in receptions. And that sounds like a top 10 wide receiver to me.
Yeah, dude. Like I feel like it's just gonna get better from here. Like last year, I think he had a lot of missed opportunity, not because of him, because it's just who they're giving the ball to. But I feel like they could do a lot more with him going to next year. So we'll see. Yeah, so really going into now, even going into training camp now, even with some of the competition groups, linebackers interesting too, because obviously going into this year, Nakobe Dean was already on the table to start. I mean, we already knew that. I wasn't a big fan of, obviously, I think even TJ Edwards, like they were okay. Like obviously they had coverage issues, but Kaiser White, I thought played really, just didn't really play up to par last year. I felt like, Nakobe Dean with the sample sizes he was getting, he just looked like he could play like at this moment. And he really didn't get a chance. So do you think the Eagles need to add another player at linebacker? Or do you think there's
I would. You know what I mean? I would. I would even take a chance on somebody. You know what I mean? At linebacker, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if it's a free agent that's just out there, you know, people aren't saying the best things about, I would take a chance with them because, you know, you can't be serious if you think you're going to come out there with Nicholas Morrow and Kobe Dean. You just can't be that scares me. The thought of that scares me, to be honest. You know what I mean? Maybe they play well together and surprise me, but as of right now, you know what I mean? And I don't think Nicholas Morrow is trash. I just don't like that combination.
Yeah.
I just somebody got to be there, you know, to like settle it down. You know what I mean? I just feel like somebody got to be there to like add some stability, man. I was thinking about Patrick Queen. Who knows? Maybe this is where Nolan Smith really comes into play.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's the master plan behind this all along. The noise at linebacker.
Yeah, I mean that's like I said earlier, I think he might be in the plans at linebacker as well in certain packages. So I think, you know, that could happen because I look at this linebacker core like, you know, Nicholas Morrow's not, I don't, like you said, I don't think he's trash either, but I just feel like I got to see it. Like I don't know. I think you know, I don't think he's the best coverage guy. And I know that, you know, the side likes to use those, you know, linebackers that could do both. It really depends on how they're going to use this guy. Because really behind Morrow and Dean, there's really nothing. I mean, Davion Taylor, I thought had a really good season in 21, and you know he had a good season. I think him and Edwards played really well, and then he had the knee injury, and then like he got hurt, and then he got hurt last year. So this is going to be like, you know, probably Taylor's like last round to like do something. And obviously they're not going to put anything on a undrafted free agent. And Ben Van Sumeren from Michigan State, you know, he's a freak athlete, but he needs help on terminology and other things. So Patrick Queen or getting Isaiah Simmons would be great. You know, it just depends what you're going to have to give up. I mean, I saw a trade proposal. No, I think that was for Budda Baker. I saw a couple trade proposals. You know, I think it would only cost like maybe a 5th or 6th round pick for Patrick Queen. And I think they're looking around the league. There's 4 open roster spots right now. So, I mean, anything could happen at the moment of time. So I feel more comfortable with the safety position right now than I do linebacker. I just felt like because they added more bodies to safety, they just did a lot more. And obviously with Chauncey not coming back was, you know, really not in the plans. But obviously if Chauncey wasn't coming back, you know, if Chauncey was coming back, we probably wouldn't have had James Bradbury coming back. I think that was the biggest surprise with James Bradbury coming back. I wasn't even really a big, I liked the signing last year, him being a number 2, but I didn't think he was going to play that well. He gave up over 800 yards the year prior with the Giants. You know, he hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2020. I mean, I didn't think he was going to do well. So, you know, the corner position is obviously going to be something to look at. You know, I mean, we're set at corner, obviously, but, you know, we need that depth. So,
right. I agree.
You know, I think
Ricks. Hopefully, I really like Eli Ricks. Hopefully he does something if he gets the opportunity. But Bradbury playing as well as he did, it was a surprise. It definitely was a surprise, man. You know, I think they got him ranked as the number one cornerback in zone in the National Football League. You know, some pick sixes, playoff interceptions. He reads that zone really, really well. He uses his length and his athleticism. So, the Scott would just do well for as long as we could keep them together. But I think this is the year for where the cornerbacks, some of the younger cornerbacks have to show something. Like Zach McPherson got to show something. Kayvon Wallace, I know he's not a corner, but it should be some opportunity there for him safety as well. Just because second order, if anything, unless we're keeping Kayvon Wallace around as some type of special teams ace, I think he improved last year though. I think the sample size is just too small. But I think it's more question marks on the defensive side of the ball for sure versus the offensive side of the ball. We need somebody at linebacker. You know what I mean? Right. It's kind of, it's uncertain. It's uncertain. Depth at the cornerback position. So, as talented as we are as a roster, there's always room for improvement. And with those 4 roster spots, I'm excited to see what direction this goes because it's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about like Keely Ringo, like cross training to safety?
I think that makes sense. I think that makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean? I think he actually could make it at cornerback as well. You know what I mean? So, it's all about, what the brass of the Philadelphia Eagles see as the future of this football team. You know what I mean? Keely Ringo cross training at safety, it could work. it definitely could work. I think it's more the winning move that needs to happen on his roster on the deep side of the ball. I know Kayvon Wallace probably too small to play linebacker, but I think he'll excel there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he'll excel there and some linebacking situations, because you need all the help you can get at that linebacker spot. If you ask me, you need to try a bunch of guys out.
Yeah, no, they have to do a lot. I feel like once they get in full pads, once they get in the joint practices, obviously like the preseason, even the preseason games, I think they'll have some value to it. Just to look at more of the back end of the roster, it's not a bad thing. But obviously Nick values the joint practices a lot more. So they'll be going against the Colts and they'll be going against obviously the Bears in the offseason. So yeah, I feel like there's definitely I don't think the team's perfect. But I feel like we had so much talent last year that I felt like you had all this talent and defensively, and we just didn't have a brain behind the defense. Really, I feel like a lot of these players bailed out Jonathan Gannon. I mean, I was seeing the signs. I mean, look, when you're winning, we shouldn't really complain. But when you're seeing like when Gannon's taking his foot off somebody's neck and they're starting to breathe, you gotta put your foot back on his neck.
Right.
That's what you got to do. And I felt like he did that so many games, and it's unfair to the offense. Like you're gonna sit back. You're going to let these teams kick field goals on you, and then you're going to put more pressure on this offense, which, I think the offense they don't care. Hurts doesn't care, but it was so bad last year that players are coming to Gannon on how to, first in 21, it was, I don't have enough players for this to do the defense I want to do, disguising coverages, whatever he was going to do. He didn't disguise no coverages. I mean, he disguised and maybe sat there the whole time, but that's it. But going into last year, like he had players coming up to him to give feedback on how to use them in the defense. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what happened at Super Bowl, bro. I really don't. Like, there was other things to worry about. I know, like, that they watered a turf field 2 days before, and I'm still not over it. I've only watched the game 2 times. I can't even watch it anymore. It's that embarrassing. I didn't watch it again.
I didn't watch it again, man. And I feel like I hate making I don't even want to watch it. So ticked off at the way things happened in that game. You know what I mean? But, as far as what I think about Gannon in that game, I think Gannon just couldn't find an answer for anybody. Gannon got exposed. Gannon showed you what happens when a historical defensive front can't get home because the field is a mess. That's the only reason why we didn't get to Patrick Mahomes.
100%.
That was just, a soggy hot mess. And Gannon got exposed. Because if you can't get to a guy like Patrick Mahomes, he's going to expose all your flaws. You got to get pressure on a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was calling out the coverage, man, on touchdown throws. Zero blitz, calling it out.
Coverage,
now, I think Sean Desai has to be better at disguising. You know what I mean? That's what Sean Desai has to do, because Gannon didn't disguise anything. And all Sean Desai got to do is disguise. The talent on the football field is going to take care of the rest. You know what I mean? His job isn't very hard. You got a couple young guys you want to keep motivated and develop in terms of Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter. But all he has to do is disguise. Disguise, keep some of the terminologies the same. And need I say it again, disguise. If he tries to overthink this, it could be bad.
Yeah, you can't get beat on the same play 2 times. I mean, you just can't. Plus our special teams have been horrible. Say what you want about it, but I don't know why Michael Clay's still here. I don't know. And look, I wasn't against Britton Covey doing punt returns, but I think it was more than Britton Covey. I think it's blocking scheme. I think it's just a certain guys he has on the field. I don't know. You can't get beat like that. Cover 0, you have no safety help, and you're literally just you can't do that against Patrick Mahomes in the red zone. You can't do it. He was outplayed. He was just outplayed. And I think the good thing about Sean Desai is in 21, when he was the Bears defensive coordinator, I think he was top 10 against the pass. He was top 5 in sacks. He was bottom 10 against the run. So he didn't really have good personnel that year against the run. But, he was a Vic Fangio apprentice for a few years, right by his side. He was a defensive quality control guy for a few years before he became the defensive coordinator for that team. So this is the best roster he's going to have probably in a while. And I feel like what he says is great. Being a violent defense, getting into quarterbacks' heads, mentally, physically, creating ways to get, pressure on quarterbacks, like great things like that. It's awesome to hear. But like I said, we have to see it. It can't get worse than last year. I don't think it can get worse, to be honest.
Especially situationally, it can't get worse than last year. We were horrible situational defense. But when you have guys that are as talented as the guys that we had, you're still going to win. When you got Hassan Reddick being unblockable, you know what I mean? That stops a lot of what the offense wants to do. Because think about it like this: on that play where Hassan Reddick knocked out Purdy, somebody was wide open going across the field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick was just able to get there and do his job. That's talent right there. The defense matches Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon is not a head coach. Doesn't have this much talent. So the size job is easy, man. The size job is easy.
I mean, you don't even run one stunt. No, I mean, every time the Eagles ran a stunt, they got a sack. I think it was almost every time they ran a stunt, they almost got to the quarterback every single time. It's just, there just wasn't any creativity. They were playing just basic, like, they're just good enough to be out there and just, you know what I mean? Like there's no creativity with the defense. And that's
right. This is like, man, you got to bring it, man. It should be funner to bring it when you got the defense that's talented.
Yeah. No, I mean, Gannon came from, he was even with the Vikings as a defensive assistant, and I don't think he'd even disguise coverages the whole year. Like, what was he disguising? I mean, like when you played Washington and they have Slay 8 to 10 yards off the ball against McLaurin, and he's got to sit there and wait for he's got to wait to react to McLaurin on the break of his route. Like McLaurin's running at 100%, and you have to sit there and wait. Like that's what I don't get. Like you have two corners, you have two gifted corners right now that can play physical, that can play in your face. At least try to get a wide receiver off his route. I mean, push him around something. I mean, you're letting tight ends and receivers off. That's what really annoyed me. It just annoyed me. Even we were winning, it still annoyed me, and it bit us in the ass, and at the end. So. That's what I thought. So we got Durant's with the super chat. Thank you so much, man. I said Lord Brunson, Philly 500, Joey Shakes, and Philly Mike. In no particular order are the guys that listen to my Philadelphia Eagles info and opinion. Thanks, fellas. I'm going to keep. Appreciate so much, Durantski. So much, man. I think I'm missing something. Got a super chat from Bobby Babinski. What's going on? He says, I'm confident in what we have, some faith. Everyone keeps wanting to add someone. Let them play it out. Still have money in trade deadline if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. It's like weakness, got to sign somebody every time. Like, I'm not sure. Like, it might be a wait and see approach where, like, let's get the training camp. Let's see what these guys could do. And obviously, Howie Roseman will have control of this. And they'll say, okay, this, they'll have their meetings after every practice. Say, okay, I don't think this is going to be enough. So it could be. If it was up to me right now that I think they're going to do, if they're not going after a linebacker, if they're not going after a safety, I feel like they sign Yannick Ngakoue. I feel like they're going to add another pass rusher. I think theoretically they could. I mean, Yannick, I remember a few years ago when he was leaving the Jags on that franchise tag, and he was posting Philly cheesesteaks and Reggie White and Trent Cole pictures, and like he wanted to play with us so bad. But this defense is, compared to what we had that year, is way better now, especially on the defensive side, defensive line. Yannick is a great player. Obviously, we lost on Leonard Floyd, we lost on Frank Clark. I think Clowney's still out there, and I think it's Yannick Ngakoue. So I add another pass rusher, because when you really think about it, your starters right now, and obviously I'm not gonna say this is the depth chart, but you'll have Reddick, Graham, you'll have Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, then you'll have Derek Barnett. Keep forgetting he's on the team,
right?
And have that third rotation. Add another guy opposite of Barnett if you have to do that. So I mean, I think Yannick could be very realistic. Why not add another pass rusher? They did it when Jordan Davis went down. They added two guys, and then Jordan Davis came back, and they had so much depth at defensive tackle. It was crazy. So the more the merrier.
Yeah. I'm not mad at Yannick. You know what I mean? I was thinking, another guy that I was thinking probably like a dark horse guy is Kareem Hunt. He's still out. We've been wanting him for a long time.
Yeah.
We've been wanting Kareem. I know we got a lot of running backs right now, but I can still see the Philadelphia Eagles strengthening a position they believe in having multiple good guys at, like, defensive line or running back or something like that. How much stock are you buying in Christian Ellis? Forgot about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was after the Pittsburgh game where I think they really need to improve on special teams, and then they moved Ellis up after that week, and he was making tackles all over the place, special teams wise. He was doing a really good job, and then he got some attention during OTAs. Obviously, it's not full pads or anything, but he got some attention. Hey, you never know, like. The Eagles have done really well with like out of no name players like coming, like obviously Reed Blankenship is one name, you know what I mean? TJ Edwards was a name too. He was undrafted, you know what I mean? But Schwartz didn't use him enough. He flashed, they never used him, so there's always those guys, coming in. So Ellis, you never know what you have. So I feel like it will be a wait and see approach with that and see what happens. I mean, the special teams it's got to get better. Like I know on punt returns, they had Covey, they had Watkins, Zacchaeus was on there, which is good because I could see him doing that as well. Because I'm not really a big fan of Boston Scott on the kick returns too much, but obviously that punter that we got is very interesting. Tyler Zettner, Legatron they call him, and the guy could kick like 60 something yards. I mean, he's so good. So I feel like Aaron Sipos has got to go. It's like both those punters we had were just atrocious. I feel like they need to, it might not be important, but special teams is look what it did in the Super Bowl.
It's damn important. You know what I mean? Yeah. If we can get good field position as much as possible with this offense, that should be easy points. If we can force some punts.
When's the last time they had a good kick return and a good punt returner?
I think Boston Scott.
Yeah,
Boston Scott last year.
Yeah,
I think in the playoffs or something, Boston Scott gave us a good return, a good kick that like pinned them deep in the 5. I don't think that happened all season last year.
I think realistically, a consistent, like really good special team, like returner, we haven't had a consistent guy probably since Josh Huff on kick return. Probably.
Yeah.
Obviously Darren Sproles, obviously. I mean, consistently. But Josh Huff, he was great, But yeah, that's a third part of the game that's got to get fixed, and it might not seem. Some people don't really care, but you kick middle, you punt middle of the field like that from your own end zone, and that's what's going to happen to you. It's you're going to pay the price for it, So it just made it sweeter just to watch the defense even have to work even harder. It was just ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pumped. We have 1 month. I mean, we are 1 month away from Eagles training camp. It's going to get crazy. We're going to be like all over Twitter every single minute of the day and seeing what these depth charts are going to look like. And then, once we get pads on, it's going to get nice. Just, I'm really happy that they don't do do the mini camps anymore. They're one of 3 teams that don't do the mini camps. So they don't do the extra stuff like other teams do, kind of stop with the, with the injuries and, with the extra injuries that don't need to happen right now. So, yeah, dude, I'm ready to go, man. Cause
it's going to be exciting, man. The battles that we have to look forward, the timelines are going to be flooded with these videos and things of that nature. I'm going to try to make it out to, one of the live ones, that can, what I mean? I love seeing the good practice. You know what I mean? I think this team is going to be upbeat. I don't think this team, coming off a Super Bowl loss, it could really cripple your organization. But this team is so young and hungry, and the key pieces like quarterback, wide receiver. I mean, our team is so seasoned and full of old, nasty vets in key areas like offensive line and defensive line. So I think we're poised to be right back in the same situation. And it all starts with training camp, man. How bad do these guys want it? Who's going to be that dark horse guy that moves so much that he demands starting quality minutes? So we get to learn a lot about the things of that nature. But I can't wait. We're under 90 days kickoff. It's time to get camp going.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I like Terrell Edmonds had a podcast interview like I think it was like last week, and he talked about like what's being said in the locker room going into this year, and they talk about the Super Bowl like certain players, he wouldn't name who, but certain players talked about the Super Bowl a little bit, and guys have a chip on their shoulder, guys are pissed off. And I think you have the players and the coaches to keep that energy. Like obviously guys coming out, teams that come out of Super Bowls don't necessarily have great years. Most of the time they don't. Some of them do. It just really depends. But with a weak conference as it is this year, but I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a weak conference, your schedule is your schedule. You got to win games on your schedule at the end of the day. So I think Jalen Hurts keeps, I think he's a big reason why, everyone, there's just a culture here that it's going to keep this thing wide open for years. This is the golden years of the Philadelphia Eagles right now. This is like, I mean, you're not even the cap hits for your quarterback right now are just like it's a joke. Like everybody, how many people before Jalen Hurts got paid? How many people told you like, oh, wait till you pay your quarterback, you're not gonna make, or at the beginning of the offseason, you're not gonna make any moves. Remember, you're not gonna make any moves. You got too many free agents in your defense. Remember, like,
it was crazy. You know, you got to think about. We just went to the Super Bowl. Roster didn't get worse.
I think they got better. Honestly.
Yeah, that's that's the main thing. We didn't get worse. You know what I mean? Usually when guys go to the Super Bowl, a bunch of guys leave. You know what I mean? We didn't get worse. You know what I mean? And we're poised to be right back in that same situation.
And if you got a defensive coordinator that has a friggin' pulse, great. And that's just an added plus to your roster. So
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, that's oh wait, am I missing something? I think I am. We got Donald Shipley. Thank you for the super chat, man. Says, glad you two guys did this. You guys are two of my favorite creators. Would you say Saul or bust if we got Baker?
What's Saul?
Saul?
Yeah.
Saul or bust? Is that like a different word?
Yeah, we got Baker. I don't know what you mean, Donnell.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a real word. I mean, it might be. My vocabulary is not bad. No, not great. So, I mean, if it's a good, maybe he's just saying if it's a good move or not. Will it work out or will it like?
I think it absolutely works out if you get Buda Baker. I think if you get Buda Baker, you're going NFC Championship game. That's where you're going. If you get Buda Baker, at the minimum, you're going to be playing championship football again.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a huge upgrade. I mean, yeah, if they sign him, it's he'll get a big extension. There's no doubt.
They're saying if we get Buda Baker, is it Super Bowl or bust?
Oh,
yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. If you got Buda Baker, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Carter. Yeah, if you get Buda Baker, it's Super Bowl or bust. And I hate saying stuff like that, but that you're just stacked beyond Buda Baker, Darius Slay, and James Bradbury. That's Super Bowl or bust. With that defensive front, that's Super Bowl or bust, man.
Yeah, I mean, do you think they'll have under 70 sacks next year?
Yeah, I think they'll have under 70 because you got to think about it, man. Hargrave had 11 sacks from the defensive tackle position. That's hard to do, man. Hargrave is probably a top 3 defensive tackle in the league. Yeah. So in order for us to get above 70, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter got to be ready, trained to go from the beginning.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's going to be the most. I think Jordan Davis is the most important piece to your defensive line. I mean, he's the one that commands the double teams. He's the one that helps out everybody else that's around him. So he's got to make a big jump. I mean, from what we've seen so far, I mean, I feel like Davis has lost some weight. I mean, he looks like a little bit lighter now than what he compared to last year, and he just got to stay healthy. And how much of a big jump are we going to get from Jordan Davis? That's going to be the thing. I mean, who knows?
His injury was kind of like a freak one. Didn't he step on somebody's foot or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I heard
it was like a freak ankle, like a high ankle sprain. You know what I mean? I'm not even concerned about how this health. It was conditioning for me.
And he was playing good. I mean, he was a top before he got hurt. He was a top 13 defensive tackle against the run. He was playing really good.
Right.
That happened, and they had this. How he's like, now you got no excuses. I just signed 2 veterans, it's just crazy, man. Like it's just Howie Roseman's just we'll just add more players if that's the case. But I think he's really important. I think I want to see what happens with Nolan Smith and Jalen Carr, like how this first year is going to go for both of them, and just how it's going to roll. Like
I want Nolan Smith to get as much opportunity as possible to be the defensive rookie of the year. That means to be on the field a lot. Yeah,
I agree. So I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, we got a monthly training camp, and we're gonna be ready to go. Anything you need want to say? Anything you're doing on your channel?
No, just the regular day stuff over there, man. Make sure you subscribe to Self and Joey Shakes. You know what I mean? Daily content. You know what I mean? Hot takes, all of that stuff. We both do, it all in terms of Philadelphia Eagles go. But yeah, man, it was a great stream, man. I can't wait to have you on. We're gonna do something closer to when camp start. Yeah, maybe we'll do what is it? Goat shakedown.
The goat shakedown.
4 of us, something.
We could do that. We could definitely do that. Yeah, guys, there's 533 in the chat. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and supporting both of us. And I didn't think many people were going to be in here at all. I mean, I didn't think, I was really happy to get Lord Brunson on, and and I think it was overdue.
I agree
to get this going, and I'm really, I was really thankful for him. Really thankful for you to come on. It was great. So
no, man, I appreciate it. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Definitely. All right. You guys have a fantastic day. We'll come out more news in the coming days. And training camp is on its way. So, guys, have a great day. See you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.